please subscribe and hit that bell to get all the updates. And if you like the video, give it a like. Today we're going to talk about Asa Ellerup. She's the wife of the accused Gilgo beach murderer, Rex Heuermann. This is a crazy situation, but it's one we knew was going to happen. Now, we're talking about the Rex Heuermann Gilgo beach murderer. Of course, he's innocent until presumed guilty in a court of law. Wait, or is that presumed innocent until proven guilty? Either the case, this isn't a court of law. But we're not going to talk about him tonight. It doesn't matter. We're talking about his wife, Elsa. All right? Now, a few days ago, or maybe it was a week, everything goes by so fast in this world we live in. She went on her porch. She flipped some people off. She had a sour face from hell, and we thought about raising money just for a resting bitch face fund. But at the time, there was a reporter from New York Daily, I believe it was, who asked if she wanted to GoFundMe. She said, yes, I'll take a GoFundMe. Now, we knew that the reporter did that on the premise of, I want to be your friend and I want to talk to you. And that's what we assumed. But then this came up. Check this out. She did a GoFundMe for, and we're going to look at it in a minute. Because she didn't have an income? No. She did a GoFundMe for a lawyer to represent her in case the victims start attacking her livelihood, for lawyers to protect her. And I thought that was odd. But then guess what happened? I heard a lot of stuff on the news about her. It was not true, by the way, saying that, this is not a good woman. This is not a good woman. We're about to hear a clip on it. This isn't a good woman. She had plenty of money. Rex Heuermann and her, they had plenty of money, but she still got food stamps. Now, that is not true. I checked it out. The food stamps that she was shopping with was her shopping for her son, who has a high level of autism, and he is the one that gets food stamp benefits, not her, but she was shopping for him with those, and he does live at the house with her. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this clip about the lawyers right after she said she was going to get a GoFundMe and got a GoFundMe. Then automatically the lawyers for the victims come out attacking her, talking about her being involved. She is not the one on trial. She's not been the one arrested. There's been no charges against her. I want to know what you think about this. I'm going to play this clip. And on the flip side of it, we're going to talk and we're going to look at that GoFundMe and we'll see what we can figure out right here. Brian Hinton, everybody. Man, we sure wish Ashley Banfield would come back.
I want to bring in now John Ray. He is an attorney who represents the families of Gilgo Beach victims, Jessica Taylor and Shannon Gilbert. John, thank you also for joining us again tonight. We always appreciate your perspective. What did you make of the presser? I mean, I know you were there.
I think he smells blood. Let me know what you think. He's smiling. He's waiting for a payday.
You spoke afterwards after their lawyers sort of left. What did you make of the whole thing?
Well, what I make of it is very simple, and that is that this lady is conning everybody, and she's been doing that for years. She's managed to, for example, go on food stamps when her husband made the kind of money he made. They own numerous properties all over in several states. These are not poor people, and they've managed to raise at the last count today, $44,000 in the GoFundMe, and they're not victims. This is all a big put on, and what makes it worse is that it is overwhelmingly likely that this woman, Miss Ellerup, and the other adults, certainly Miss Ellerup, knew very well what was going on in that house with Mr.
Now, how many times do lawyers like to yell at the rafters, innocent until proven guilty? Yet we have this jacker smacker up there blaming the wife of the murderer, saying that, she had to know when we already have proof that he did what he did when she was not there.
Huerman downstairs in the basement with sex workers, and he had numerous.
But how can you say that, though? I mean, John, that's a really big allegation to make. I mean, the police have said that
it's a major allegation. He's a major alligator.
That they didn't know anything. And we've seen in other cases with serial killers that the families don't know anything. These guys are sickos and masterminds and psychotic, and they can compartmentalize. I mean, how can you go on national TV and say that you know that they knew something?
And we're about to get an answer, but here's what I think. I think that in his mind, what he just gave you is the justification for his beliefs. He doesn't know, nor does he give a damn if she knew about the victims or what her husband was doing or not. What he knows is that, you know what, it's justified in my mind because they have plenty of money, all right? And usually victims of serial killers don't get paid. Look at Ted Bundy's victims. Did any of those families get paid? Now we're talking about the families. We're not talking about the direct victims. The victims, all right, are dead, unfortunately. They were sex workers, also unfortunate, because that is a form of victimization, in my opinion, who were estranged from their families, all right? And being estranged from your family, not getting any family help, is often what leads you into prostitution, all right? When your family turns their back on you, not in all cases, but in a lot of them, and now these families want a payday, they want to be paid from someone who didn't do the crime. But it's justified in his mind because, well, she'll be fine. We're going to get as much money as we can from her, and she'll be fine in the outcome. To me, that's what he just said. I want to know what you think about it. We're going to hear what he says about it right here.
I can say that for several reasons. First of all, she lived in that little tiny house, and according to her own lawyers, there's no soundproof room downstairs. It would be virtually impossible in this day and age where they're together for 27 years in that little tiny house that she had no knowledge with cell phones and the internet. She had no knowledge whatsoever of what he was up to all those years downstairs. That's the first problem we have with this.
All right. He had a bunker under there. It was soundproof. Yes, it had a lot of weapons in it is what it had. And they didn't pull any proof that we know of yet that he actually murdered anybody in that house. They've not been able to say that yet. So, and what the hell the internet would have and cell phones would have to do with it, I don't know.
The second problem is the way she's behaved is completely antithetical to what a person would do under similar circumstances if they were not involved. You know, she not one of those people, her or her children have said anything by way of sympathy for any of the victims of the serial killer, no matter what. They've just completely ignored.
That is horrible, but her kids are older. They're living with her. One's autistic. I don't know if there's anything wrong with the other. And look at this. They were sex workers that were having sex with your husband. That would be a shock. The fact that he's accused of murdering them is another shock. The fact that the police showed you that he did this when you weren't there is another shock. The fact that they found a hair from her on the victims and his DNA on the victims is a shock. And they got the video of her shortly after she found out, still in shock. You don't know what somebody's going to do when they're in shock.
Or that they sit on the front porch, they laugh, they give
They're on the porch laughing. Did her face look like it was laughing?
Middle finger to the press.
Well, listen, I mean, all the pictures I've seen them looking very sad outside, and maybe they're just, I mean, could they still just be in denial and shock and hoping that it's not true? And then the thing you said about her not knowing if he had escorts over there, I mean, people just have weird marriages. Maybe they had some kind of weird arrangement where he was allowed to have the escorts down.
That arrangement, all right. She would go to visit family, and he was screwing around on her without her knowing. We did a show about this. How many of you guys were ever in a relationship with an asshole? All right. Just because you're in a marriage with an asshole, which a lot of us are, doesn't mean the asshole's a murderer. Sometimes it does.
Downstairs, having sex with the escorts downstairs, but that doesn't mean that she knew that he was a killer.
That doesn't mean she didn't, and she should be a suspect when 2 of her hairs are found on the tape wrapping up 2 of the victims. She's at least
he knows that.
A suspect. But there's also another factor which I had the good fortune to come across, and that is a witness. And there is a witness who is very credible. I know I pull rank by saying that because I'm 41 years in the business, and I've done many cross-examinations and 33 different homicides I've been involved in one way or another. So, I bring that to the table.
There's a witness that she knows. Okay. Now that's interesting. So as we go through this trial and more information comes out, do you think it's going to come a time when she actually goes to trial since there's a witness about her involvement? Is that what he's saying? And then who knows what happens to her money, right?
I've examined this witness for hours, and she is credible, and in detail she is credible. And she's not coming forward with her name at this point, and I'm going to respect that.
So,
that's my job.
What is the witness?
Is he withholding evidence? Is it going to be admissible now that she told him?
We have new information tonight about the family of the suspected Long Island serial killer. The lawyer for Rex Hewerman's family.
All right, we got breaking news here. We're going to go over it after we listen to this.
Tell us about this witness.
What I hear unquestionably is that Rex Hewerman was bringing sex workers frequently into his home over the years, spent a small fortune on him, and that the wife was clearly very aware of this and even indicated it actively at some point. So I have that plus all these inferences that you can draw from the way this woman has behaved in this whole thing. And when you put the two together, it's pretty hard to deny that she should be a suspect.
Okay, so is he saying that she knew that he was having these escorts, although there's evidence that she was away when he was killing escorts? Because she knew he was having escorts doesn't mean that she knew that escorts were dying at the hands of her husband, and that hasn't been proven in the court of law yet. They're still working on that. I haven't heard many people thinking that he's going to be let off, but
perhaps the police did not consider her a suspect initially because she seemed to have alibis for when 3 of those women disappeared. But those alibis are fungible, like anything else. And if she was away in Iceland on a trip and so on, do we know when these girls were actually killed, the day they were killed? Do we know how long they were kept before they were buried? Do we know whether they were still alive and then were killed later on? You don't know any of those things. So you really need to be suspicious. And
do you have reasonable doubt, though? Now, how can you believe that she would have the foresight to have a set-up alibi and he wouldn't? What sense does that make? And can someone be sued for being involved when they haven't even been charged with a crime like her?
And that's what I'm saying is you need to be suspicious.
I understand what you're saying, being suspicious and keeping an open mind, and I'm sure hopefully the police are with everything involving this case. It just seems like we don't really have the evidence right now to call out the family like that. I mean, if they know nothing like the police say.
He says he does. The sharks are circling, everybody. The sharks are circling.
Well, I have that.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean.
All right. Now let's move along, and this is what our breaking information was from Elizabeth Vargas. She's also talking about the Gilgo Beach murder.
Revealed today the suspect's estranged wife is undergoing treatment for cancer. Her insurance is about to run out because the policy is in Hewerman's name. And
didn't know that. You learned it here first. She's going under treatment for cancer, and her policy is about to run out.
He is behind bars after being arrested for the murders of 3 women and possibly a 4th. This, as we learn, a surprising person has reached out to help the family. Joining us now, live on Long Island with more, is News Nation national correspondent Sloan Glass. Hey, Sloan.
Sloan Glass, everybody.
Elizabeth, that surprising source is the daughter of the Happy Face serial killer. She created a GoFundMe to help offset some of the medical costs that Ellerup is accumulating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now it's medical costs for cancer? Because that's not what I read. I heard it was for attorney's fees to protect herself.
Because of her cancer treatment. Now, it's unusual for a family member of anyone accused of the nature of
Maybe I got Mandela. Maybe this is a Mandela effect, guys.
the crimes that Huerman has been charged with to speak so openly, but we continue to learn more about the Huerman household. Two families intertwined after their lives were upended.
They have a unique bond that hopefully none of us ever will have. Her dad was arrested. I should say that Melissa Moore's dad was arrested when she was 16 years old, and they came on to be known as the Happy Face Killer.
We're about to look at the GoFundMe and find out what's really going on. What are they saying?
So it's a situation where her life was turned upside down the way Asa and her children's were turned upside down. So they bonded on that.
The daughter of the Happy Face serial killer setting up a GoFundMe for accused.
I'm going to call her Elsa, but her name is Asa. Okay, Asa.
Serial killer Rex Huerman's estranged wife, Asa Ellerup. As Ellerup's attorney, Robert Macedonio, reveals his client is battling cancer. And as he shares never-before-seen photos of the inside of the Huerman home. Rooms stacked to the ceiling with boxes and drains pulled from the sink. Ellerup says this is how investigators left the family home after their nearly 2-week search, leaving her and her 2 adult children without a bed to sleep in. The family attorneys announcing the plan to file a legal claim. This precautionary take to file the claim, is it because you guys are preparing to file a suit?
We're still sorting through what claims they may or may not have and what damages have been done and where her rights may need to be protected.
Longtime attorney John Ray, who represents the families of 2 other victims found on Long Island, had this to say.
It's been said that some of their belongings were in pieces. And quite honestly, what does that matter? What about how many pieces Karen, Valerie, Jessica were found in?
Personally, it's really hard for me to trust a lawyer. It's even harder for me to trust a lawyer or a bald man with a ponytail.
Asa Ellerup's legal team says that she has not been contacted by law enforcement. They have not heard from anyone in law enforcement since her husband was arrested. Police believe that she and her children were traveling at the time that they believe the murders were committed, and neither...
Sloan Glass, everybody, thank you very much. Let's go look at this GoFundMe and see what it says it's for. It says help Asa Ellerup start a new life. All righty. This is for, they changed it. All right. Before it said for legal fees. Now it's saying, and this was changed recently on the 11th, the funds will go directly to Asa as she now has her solo bank account. Before it was saying it was going to go to the lawyer. So now we are at a total of $50,000, $660. For clarification, the funds are to support Asa, and she can direct on what is her highest priority basic needs for herself and adult children to restore the home to whole, as evidence collection damaged or destroyed many critical household items, and any other need she may have that is not listed. Okay. There you go. I want to know what you think about this case. I want to know if you think that she had something to do with this. Do you believe her lawyer and he's saying, she's got to pay Asa Ellerup? Or do you think it's possible that she's innocent and she hasn't been charged with anything or even questioned? And yet the lawyer for some of the victims are bringing her out in the forefront saying she needs to pay. I want to know what you think about this. Please let me know in the comments right below this video. You can call me and let me know what you think. The phone number is 325-261-0892. That is 325-261-0892. Leave me up to a 3-minute voicemail message. I listen to all of them. I want to play it on the show and we can talk together. This show's a conversation with you. Thank you very much. My email, if you'd rather email me, is midnightrad.io101@gmail.com. Again, midnightrad.io@gmail.com. Hey, check out a radio station. We have a radio station, guys. Right down below, there's a link to it. Until next time, all my best.